Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Overtop podcast. My name is Nick Lorenzo, and I'm your host. Today, I'm glad to introduce someone that is a world movie maker, an international movie maker, director, and writer. He is from Ecuador, but has been living in Vancouver, in Canada, for many years now. I am glad to introduce you to Christian Mejia Acosta. Christian, how are you, my friend?
Hello there, Nick. I'm feeling great this morning, Friday morning. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for making the time to be here with us. And what I want to know first, Christian, is how did you start to having this interested taste for making movies? Was that at early age or took some time by the time you were in Canada?
Thank you. I do want to add as well that I'm a director and a producer and the owner of a company here in Vancouver, BC called Retrogusto Films, the same
Correct.
company that I have in Ecuador. These are the same name of a company, but they're two different entities.
Correct.
One that exists in Ecuador and one that exists here in Canada. I started my company many years ago down in Ecuador for basically the drive and the dream to create audiovisual and films around the world. And we started in 2013 with a group of other five colleagues of mine down in Ecuador, including Daniel Yepes Brito, Irina Lopez Eldredge, including Omar Vergara, and Gabriel Garcia Campillo, who lives in Monterrey, Estefania, and myself here in Canada. So we are a team of six people
Okay.
that have been creating projects ever since we started the company.
Okay. So the team, I mean, six people in two continents, in Ecuador and in Vancouver, in Canada. Are they all directors, or is a multidisciplinary team? I mean, people doing the technical part and the other part on the creative side of it.
Yeah, we have different skills, all of us. We all work in the film industry. We all create, but some of them are more leaning into directing or producing or editing or photographers. And as a whole, together, we create the things that we create. That's why we've been able to create so many films in every year. Every year, we're working in different films. And it's not only by the initiative of one person, but it's by the initiative of the group. And as a group, we all work under the umbrella of Retrogusto Films, under the intellectual property that Retrogusto Films develops and purchases. And we, as a whole, highlight or take the projects that we, as people, have a relationship to
Okay.
and feel attracted to and feel that we can add to the conversation in any given project. So different projects we have done with different partners, different other companies as well. But within our company, Retrogusto Films, we work as a team.
Okay. I looking at your history, the history of the Retro Gusto films. I see there is an emphasis on social type of work that furthered a little bit of activism, even though there is a recurrent theme for me which is the fight for your passion, perseverance, persistent, but there is a lot of social component to your work. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. One of the major threats that I started when I started the company, when I found the company back in 2007 and then operated in 2013, I came from creating documentaries for the United Nations for more than 7 years based in Peru and with headquarters in New York City. That was communication for development and documentaries that basically around Latin America and the Caribbean were about social issues, were about development, were about education and other themes. This is how I started in the film industry, how I started in the audiovisual world. I started as a photographer for the Red Cross back
Okay.
in Rwanda in Africa in 1997. I took photographs for the reconstruction of Rwanda, and I did a lot of work with development. When we started the company, I realized that audiovisuals, entertainment pieces, documentaries, short films, and other intellectual property have a lot of impact on the messaging. It's more than a campaign. It's more than a simple photograph. It is, you can say many things within a documentary. And this, for me, was something that truly changed my life, to be able to create these audiovisual pieces to talk about some of the issues in the world.
Okay.
After that, we also explored now, because the company and we have been at it more than 10 years, now we're also exploring with other fictional films that have certain social issues within the script, but they're fictional. So they're not documentaries. So we have moved, we do documentaries very well, and we do as well scripted content.
Yes, I do know you guys. I know you guys do very good documentaries. And as a proof of that, Retrogusto Films and yourself, you guys have won a few awards. One of those documentaries, for example, that I can talk about is Dreamtown, that you won an award for that. And I want you to tell me a little bit where the idea came from, and how do you guys get to that specific subject? Because for me, it's very close to me because Dreamtown is about sport. I'm a big soccer fan. Tell us a little bit about the award and about the structure of that documentary.
The documentary Dreamtown, it's a beautiful piece that was created by Betty, who's a colleague of mine. I'll give you her last name and her information. Betty is an Ecuadorian that lives in New York City that came to Ecuador looking for a company that can help her elaborate the film. She had started the film. She had met Chala and the soccer players from Dreamtown. And after a couple of years working on the documentary, she felt stuck financially and within the line of what the story was. And she came down to Ecuador to look for a company that can help her continue the production of the film and finish it in post-production. So she was sent to us by the National Institute of Film there in Ecuador, and they had they had suggested that they talk to us. So when Betty Bastidas came to talk to us, to talk to me, and we saw the material, we saw the footage that she already had, and we saw the potential that the film had, we signed an agreement
Okay.
with her production company, Maracuya Producciones and Retrogusto Films in Quito, and we decided to cooperate and work together. That meant that we were able to raise funds from the Ecuadorian government at that time, el Consejo Nacional de Cine, and we were able to work together with with Betty until the end of production. And it was a fantastic experience. We met the soccer players. We loved every moment that we were able to create this beautiful film. And then we took it to festivals, and it had a great welcoming in the Ecuadorian New York Film Festival. And we won Best Picture. I think that was 2017 or
Yeah.
2016 back in New York. And we also were officially selected for EDOX, which is a very highly known documentary film festival that it takes place in Ecuador, called El Otro Cine EDOX. And we were nominated there as well. And now the film is online for people to watch.
Yes, it's a very good documentary. And as I told you, I like football. We call soccer in the United States. But one thing that I knew that. However, when you are watching a soccer match on TV, it's all beautiful, shiny, the uniform, the people singing, all that. You never think about how hard is it for those guys to get where they are, right? And when I hear in the film that there is a passage that say, "Well, we have 300 kids here, but probably only two or three will make it to the pros." That was something I said, wow, yeah, this is really hard. It's not just, oh, you're just a soccer player going to make a lot of money. It's really difficult. As an Ecuadorian,
Yeah.
like Christian, tell me about how strong, how big is the impact of Afro-Equatorian in soccer in that country?
Well, Afro-Ecuadorians are an important part of Ecuador, and we have great players, soccer players from with that origin. And basically, the documentary Dreamtown takes place in Ecuador, where three players are wanting to be on the first division of soccer for the country. And you
Correct.
can see how their circumstances, their economic background, their families, their wives or no wives, or, just their social life of every soccer player. It's so determining to what if he is going to make it or not.
Yeah.
And the thing that we love about this movie is that out of the three players, one makes it and the other two don't.
Yeah.
Correct. And then
Yeah.
you see why, you see the reasoning, you see what it took for that one player to be successful. And as you say, once you see them on the field, it's very hard to know the background of each one of these kids that, have given it all to be on that court. So Dreamtown, it's a bit of that. It's a bit in Ecuador. There's a place called El Chota, where there's a lot of soccer players that come out and are able to go to first division, but not everybody can make it, of course. But in this town, everybody is brought up with the idea that they can make it, that they might make it, that maybe, what if they make it, they will change their whole circumstance. They will have,
Yeah.
the money, the cars, the power of being successful in the sport. But as well, there isn't a support, an educational background, or like a support on their economies or their families or their basic needs. So it is kind of an opposite. Like the dream is there, but it's also very hard to get it, and very, it can vanish anytime, because if you
Yeah.
break a leg, or if you get sick, or if you don't get picked on the right match, all your illusions, everything, all your dreams can be gone in a second. So it's very delicate, and the movie explores how these kids have dreams about becoming soccer players, and then who can make it and who doesn't.
Yeah, it's a good film. On the same line in terms of fighting for your dream, passion for whatever you do and be persistent. In November, you won the Retrogusto films. You executive produced Nacy that was released in November. You guys went to a festival. It's also about the sport, but on the female side. Can you tell me a little bit more about Nacy, please?
Of course, I mean, after Dreamtown, we learned a lot. We learned a lot. The beautiful experience that creating a feature length documentary on a personality, on a sports person that can come from a poor background financially, uh, and to see how the effort and the strength made them become successful in what they do for Dreamtown, the soccer player. Then we also saw an opportunity on this beautiful young lady called Nacy Dahomes. I always say her last name wrong. Give me a
The honest.
second. Dahomes. Yeah.
Yes.
We saw the Nacy Dahomes, and we saw potential. This is directed by Daniel Yepes Brito and produced by my colleague Irina Lopez Eldredge. And we created a small TV show back in the 1916, 2016, 2017. We created a TV show called, it was a show only for women.
Okay.
It was called Ser Mujer, to be a woman. And we took, basically, Irina, she explored different women in positions of what seemed to be jobs or sports just for men, right? Like a firefighter or a DJ or a rapper or this woman who is a weightlifter. And we started to follow her story. And she had one idea in her mind. She wanted to be an Olympic medalist. She was 16 years old. She was practicing out of a local gym in Ecuador, but she already had that dream. So it was impressive to us to hear her say, I want to be a medalist. I want to be an Olympic medalist, not only just like Panamericanos or National Olympics. sorry, national competition. She had that dream. She had that vision at 16, and we followed her for 8 years until she made gold in the Olympics. So when
That
she
is
made gold in the
that is
Olympics,
impressive.
we all cried. We all cried. We were so satisfied for her. We were so happy. We saw her determination, and as the movie is called, Nacy and the Power of a Dream, was that it was the visualization that she had and the power that she implanted in that dream, and then she walked in order to achieve it. So she taught us a lot. She taught us as filmmakers that we can also dream, and then we were dreaming to have an amazing movie. She was dreaming to become a medalist, and we both had it. Like, she not only became a medalist, she became a gold medalist. So the
A
first,
gold medal.
and then gold, and then she became the first woman to ever have a gold medal in the Olympics for Ecuador, ever. So
Yeah,
now
that's incredible.
our document, it's unbelievable. And then she made our dream come true, which was to have a beautiful documentary, to get some awards international, and then to have almost like a piece of history in our hands.
Yeah, but Christian, this is as an entrepreneur, a movie entrepreneur. You know, you have the business, you have your staff or your co-work. As an independent company, how do you fund your project? Because, for example, for Nacy, you mentioned that you have been following Nacy for 8 years. That this takes time and takes investment. How do you come with the funding for those projects as an independent movie company?
Yeah, that is a great question, and that is part of our persistence and our determination, and also the collaboratory work that we do in a group. It's not something you want to do alone. It's not something that we say. It's not a race. It's not a speed race, but it's like a marathon. It's endurance. You have to be at the race for a good long time, and money, it's very important, and it comes in forms of grants and funds that are applied to in our national structure in Ecuador. We have a film fund that you apply to for development, for production, for post production. So we were successful in more than once applying to those funds, and those funds come directly to the production of the of of the movie. Now, as well, sometimes, for example, we can do a commercial, or we can do something corporate, or a music video, or something else, and that will give us money to continue the work in the documentary that no one's paying for. So you have to have different avenues to generate income in order to maintain certain projects. And then those projects, sometimes they do get funded, let's say $1,000 or $75,000. And then you have time and money, some money to work the documentary until the money dries and maybe the documentary is not done yet. So you need to become patient and then come back at it with or without the money. If you have the camera, if you have the character, if the story's moving forward, even if you have $1 for the bus, you're gonna take that camera, take the bus, and go cover the story, right? Until later in time, all the sacrifice will be true. And then even it's a great learning experience, because you cannot say, oh my God, I don't have money to do this documentary, when you see that the person doing the sport doesn't even have money for her diet, or for her, diet, or transport, or basic needs. And she's still at it, and she's still making the effort. So it kind of teaches us that with or without the money, we still need to do the effort.
Yes, yes, that's true. I mean, if you have so it's kind of a retrofit you. If she's doing this with no resource, I'm
Exactly.
sure I can do it. I can do it. I can help
Exactly.
her get to her dreams. Yes, yes, absolutely. I want to talk about two more subjects, but before we get, I want to know because independent filmmakers go to tons of fests. Sometimes people don't understand why do people go to so many there is a specific reason that, you know, companies like yours and similar to your go-to fest, does it has to do to getting obviously exposure to an international audience, but also trying to get distribution deals?
Totally. This is an avenue that helps you with awareness and outreach and also credibility. Because once a movie gets some awards, laurels in New York or in Italy or in another country or in our same country, that speaks really well for the film. It kind of tells the audience that it has gone through a jury of experts of some sort that understand, that see many films, and that they choose yours because of its content and because the way it was made and the subject matter and the music and the color and the characters that are within the film. And that gives and status to the film. And with that, you can continue to other festivals. And as well, the ultimate goal is to look for a distribution deal. So basically a deal that says, okay, we're going to play the movie in theaters. We're going to play the movie in a video on demand platform or a TV channel. So it is very, and as well, there's another part into festivals. Some festivals have markets, and those markets are a great opportunity for people like myself or the director or my other producer, is to go and meet other companies, meet channels, meet the people who are wanting material and wanting content. Because there's the part of us who produce the content, but there's also people who need the content to organize their month and their first quarter of a year and then half of the year. They need different movies because the audience turns on the television and they want to see different things and more things. That's why, things like Netflix, they're like, okay, we have a new premiere, a new release, a new movie, a new thing, because now people can sit and watch a whole series in one weekend. And then the next weekend, they're like, I need something new to watch. So there's also, we as production companies, we create the content that others as distributors or sales agents need to put in their platforms. So it's a for and demand market.
So it never stops. I mean, you guys are in constant, movement, working, looking for new project. It's because you guys need to feed the big beast like that, like the Netflix of the world. Which Christian takes me to the next segment of the our conversation. You have worked with big players in the entertainment industry. I do understand you have worked with Amazon. You had participation in Spider-Man. Tell us first about Invincible, an Amazon original series. Then let's talk about what work would be in Spider.
Yes. So I have kind of like two ways of participating within the industry. One is as a creator, as a producer or director who owns the IP, who owns the intellectual property, and who creates intellectual property out of the subjects that we choose and want, like Nacy, like Dreamtown, Amy and Sophia, Island of the Dolls, Chusalongo, Siete Muros, Rebellion of a Memory, Relocation, Reinventing Leonard. All of these are films that we have created, right? And then there's other films that are created by major studios like Amazon or Netflix or Sony Pictures. And most of those studios are here in Vancouver. So I've been lucky enough to work in those big productions out of looking and seeing the opportunity to get involved in those production teams and being hired as a person to collaborate in part of the process of those films. So I've always entered the departments of production. So in Spider-Man, which is an animated feature film that is an Academy Award winner, I started as a production assistant, and then I was a coordinator for some of the departments. And that job took around a year and a half here in Vancouver in 2017 until the movie was finished and released. And those are huge operations that I've been able to be involved with. The same case with the Amazon Prime series Invincible. That's an animated series that was created between LA, Vancouver, and Seoul in Asia. And I was working with the producer as a coordinator to basically manage the animated models that were created in LA and Vancouver and send them to Asia to get them processed and into animatics that they will send us back and that we will approve or not, depending on the look of the series. And that conversation, that work that we will send the work, that they will send us back, and that they will send the new assets, and then they will animate those assets and send it back. It's a job of more than 3 companies, correct?
Oh,
So all those companies are creating the series until, let's say, episode 1, it's approved, it's greenlit, everybody loves it, everybody greenlights it, and then it goes to screen. But it's a process that we vet and we manage all the assets for that, because you have to manage the voice, the characters, the props, the color, or the look of the comic, right? Because it's all animated comics. So, and so we had in that specific case, we have Robert Kirkman, who is the creator of the series, who lives in LA. So he also had to give his thumbs up for the production. So these are very complex productions that happen in more than one studio, and it's kind of an international, worldwide job. And I'm the part of it who does that.
how do they pick you? Those big studios, how did they find?
It's well, we find them and then they find you. You have to find them. You have to find, yeah, you have to find the opportunity and have the right skills for that job and raise your hand and call and send a resume and send a cover letter and be
Uh,
able and meet with the people. Sometimes there is fairs where all the studios are there looking for new people. So I was able to be, I guess, at the right time with the right skill set that they would hire me.
mm. Christian, let's talk about you and the Retrogusto films. You have won a lot of awards. I could count at least, at very least 10. Let's talk about some of those awards and, on several different festivals. Let's talk about those awards and the movies that won those awards. Which ones are the ones that you really believe are, you know, piece of art that you will forever share?
I have 2 this year that have been that I'm very grateful for being part of these 2 beautiful films. One of them is Nacy and the Power of a Dream, this documentary that we spoke about, Nacy, who's a weightlifter. We participated in the International Italo Latino American Organization Film Festival that happens in Rome. We presented the film this year, and we won Best Latin American Film, Best Documentary Latin American Film, which was an amazing credential for us. This is, and I have it here, this is within the Spanish and Latin American Film Festival that happens in Rome. We also, this year, were nominated with Chusalongo, which is a movie of a legend, of a mythological legend in Ecuador, an indigenous legend in Ecuador. Chusalongo got selected. It has an official selection for Fantaspoa, which is the Fantaspoa is the International Fantastic Film Festival of Porto Alegre. This is in Brazil, which is a huge festival, and it's considered one of the best festivals in horror. And then we won Best Latin American Film as well in the Macabro Film Festival, and this is the Mexico City International Horror Film Festival. So these 2 movies this year have collected great awards, one being a documentary and one being fiction. So that's to say that we like both worlds, because documentary, it's real life. You follow a story, you don't know where is it going to go, but with the right tools and the right mindset, you can create a story out of what you find in a documentary. And then fiction is different because you have a script, you have characters, you create a world, and you go and do it. And both of the films have been greatly successful. this year. Nacy was a production solely done by Retrogusto Films. We were the only company that worked on that documentary because it was so long to do it, and it's such a piece of gathering a lot of footage and a lot of information. And then Chusalongo, it was created by 4 companies, one in Ecuador, one in Spain, one in Peru, and me here in Canada. And so that's a collaboratory effort of these 4 companies and the co-producers of those companies, such as me, and of course the director, Diego Ortuño, who's the writer, who's an amazing person who created the story itself. So those two movies have been amazing to have awards for this year. And others that I'm really proud of is Siete Muros, that I created together with Daniel Yepes Brito, my colleague in Ecuador. Him and I were selected for the Top TV Latin America. This is a Latin American TV program, and we were selected best for Ecuador. This was 2016. We also created Island of the Dolls. This is this is based on a true story, or no, not a true story. Sorry, a true place in Mexico City, where an island full of dolls exists, and we created a script around it where 2 people from England come to cover the story, and of course they get hunted by the dolls, and it's a very entertaining movie. And that movie, we were able to distribute it in Amazon Prime as well, which is, after the award, is what we're looking for, to be able to distribute these films for people to watch.
That's great. Christian, you are doing great. Retro Gusto is doing great. It has been a pleasure speaking with. Before we close, I want to know, what does it look like for Retro Gusto Films and Christian Mejia in the next few years?
Thank you, Nick. It's such a great opportunity to be here, to be on your show. I've enjoyed a lot. My next few years, I think we're going to have a lot of work. We are starting the year 2025 with a visit to the market in Ottawa, Canada, called Prime Time. I'm going to be there meeting with people from the Mexican government and the Canadian government, both that are supporting Latin American co-productions. My biggest strength in this world, in this industry, which is so competitive, is to use all the experience that I've been able to gather up until now, all the experience, as you mentioned, to be working in mega productions and smaller productions and all sorts of formats, from documentary to films to music videos to shorts to commercials, and be able to create co-productions with Latin America in 2025, be able to raise the money that we need to raise to produce those intellectual properties, be able to hire the teams that work around me, and also create culture, highlight the Latin American culture, highlight it in English, in Spanish, use both languages, use our art of making films, and really working with it, working with all the restraints of AI or strikes or COVIDs or whatever comes our way. We will keep creating stories. That's what we do.
That's great, Christian. I want to make the door open here on my show for whenever you want to come back to talk to me about new projects. Again, thank you, my friend. I wish you the best of luck for 2025 and beyond. And we're here to support. Hopefully, we'll talk
Thank
again.
you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for,
You take
thank you.